So, welcome once again to discuss some of the attributes of tumor. Specifically, today, the interest of word is heterogeneity. We know that cancer is defined as complex and heterogeneous disease condition. However, better understanding of tumor heterogeneity in different perspective is necessary. The necessity to understand tumor heterogeneity at different levels is important for scientists, important for clinicians, important for definitely cancer patients, so that better diagnostic, prognostic, and the therapeutic avenues for cancer patients can be explored in future. So today, I would like to introduce a sort of new words, that words what I think may have relevance in the field of tumor biology, that is waves of heterogeneity. So my dear friend, the meaning of waves of heterogeneity is in the context of the super complex nature of tumor. So we know the complexities of the tumor. The tumor is complex in nature, but I'm just highlighting another relevance in the form of super complexities or the super complex nature of tumor. And the word what I have defined here as SCNT, super complex nature of the tumor. So how the super complex nature of the tumor is influenced or impacted by the waves of heterogeneity. And the waves of heterogeneity I have coined in an abbreviated form as WOH, W-O-H, waves of heterogeneity. So how the WHO of tumor is contributing to the super complex nature of the tumor is an interesting part. Several investigations are going on to better understand the heterogeneity at different levels. It can be genetic, epigenetic, metabolomic, or you can say the cellular heterogeneity it can be, environmental heterogeneity can be, and there are many more. That's what today I would like to discuss, those levels of heterogeneity that is in the form of waves of heterogeneity that drive the super complexities of tumor. Not for one type of the tumor, several types of the tumor. Yes or no? Not for one patient, several patients, right? Not for one cancer cell instead of billions of cancers, right? So let me to start with the proposed model on the waves of heterogeneity, that is WH and SCNT. Okay. So the first is very, and it is going to be useful to the each and everyone. That is, if you look at here, the waves of heterogeneity in the context of the tumor, there are various classifications are there. There are various understanding is there. The way we interpret, the way we try to understand the waves of heterogeneity. The first I would like to start from, that is intratumoral heterogeneity. And this is also one of the buzzword in the field of cancer biology, where the scientists are trying to understand what is the whole relevance of intratumoral heterogeneity. So simply we can understand that a tumor of like 2 centimeter, 5 centimeter, or a particular size of the tumor has a particular shape. Even though shape is not defined like liver organ or the kidney, but there is a shape or unique shape or abnormal shape like organ, that is a tumor. So the intratumoral heterogeneity means here that within a tumor, the different physical location of the tumor, different region of the tumor has heterogeneity. That means the differences at the genome level, differences at the epigenome level, differences in terms of metabolites, differences in terms of receptors, protein, and many more things is a reality. So the scientists are trying to understand if there is an intratumoral heterogeneity across the different region of the tumor that can be classified into 2 types. One is called as temporal, other is called as spatial. Temporal means the different region of the tumor, a single tumor, the cancer cell at one part, cancer cell at other part, have the different evolution of their genome, right? It can be due to the mutation. It can be due to the various other uh, factors as well. So the temporal mutation is one of the critical aspects in the intratumoral heterogeneity. And the second is the spatial, where the microenvironment within a tumor, like it can be blood vessels, it can be extracellular matrix, it can be dietary factors, it can be cytokines, it can be even the drugs treatment to the cancer patients. So altogether, that can also create a microenvironment, and that is usually referred as spatial uh, component of intratumoral heterogeneity. Okay. Now I would like to take all of you to the another aspect of heterogeneity, that is intertumoral heterogeneity. So what is the whole meaning of intertumoral? That means in a single patient, the possibilities are there that multiple tumors at different locations of a particular body is there. So there is also heterogeneity at that level. But intertumoral can also be possibilities across the population, from one patient to the other patient, right? So those type of the heterogeneity is also a reality. And that is also one of the bottleneck, one of the parameters where the success and failure of a drug or a therapies are always considered as a one of the factors. Okay. In other way, intertumoral heterogeneity is well known. And definitely the intertumoral heterogeneity can be explained due to the genetic background or the epigenetic background or the environmental background and many more factors. Okay. Now, intertumoral, intertumoral, another very important, you can say, classification of the tumor heterogeneity, that is inter-cancer cell heterogeneity. That means within a single tumor, in a particular region, one cancer cell is going to differ from other cancers. That is inter-cancer cell heterogeneity. That is also one of the biggest issues in the field of development of drugs or targeted therapies and many more, because each cancer cell has evolved in such a way that it has its own genome. It has its own evolved epigenome, right? And that is where this inter-cancer cell heterogeneity is one of the factors that needs to be considered. Now the other heterogeneity can be a possibilities, that is cancer associated cell heterogeneity. See, the one cancer cell is heterogeneous or different from other cancer cell. It is true, but also it is important to understand non-cancer cells within a tumor, that is in the form of, it can be cancer associated cell, it can be adipocytes, this cell can be stromal cells, this cell can be fibroblast. So there is a heterogeneity at the level of cancer associated cell heterogeneity. Another class of heterogeneity can also be possible, that is immune cell heterogeneity. So some of the immune cells are cancer supporting immune cells. So these immune cells are also display huge heterogeneity from one type of the tumor to the other type of the tumor, from one patient to the other patient. And that is why immune cell heterogeneity is also one of the hallmark and the critical factor in the success and failure of drug treatment or therapies treatment. Another very important portion, I mean, nowadays is that single cancer cell heterogeneity. That each cell of a tumor, it can be one type of the tumor, it can be other type of the tumor. It can be from one patient to the other patient. So the single cell heterogeneity is also one of the new developing aspect of the cancer biology, where we have to understand each cancer cell at individual level. And also nowadays a possibility that, the within each single cell, even the organelles are going to show the heterogeneity, right? Each compartment of the cell is going to show the heterogeneity. So it can be also extended to the compartmentalized heterogeneity of each cancer cell type is also very important. Another very important, the aspect is the therapeutic cell heterogeneity. Like suppose some of the tumor in a particular patient is going to be treated by the use of certain immune cells like CAR T cell, chimeric antigen therapies. So the CAR T cell, once it is getting inside the human body or in a particular cancer patient, and these cells, they can also create a form of heterogeneity, and that is why therapeutic cell heterogeneity can also be a future possibility of a form of heterogeneity in a tumor. And the last one I would like to discuss here, that is xenotumor heterogeneity. So what is the whole meaning of xenotumor heterogeneity? Is like mammary tumor in human and the mammary tumor in cow or the ruminants or any other animal, it can be a different, right? It can be a difference in terms of malignancies. It can be different in terms of invasiveness. It can be different in terms of the occurrence also, susceptibility or the resistance. So the concept of heterogeneity is going to be explored at the level of across the species, human to the ruminants or the human to the animals, how the tumor is going to show the different genomic, epigenomic, and phenotypic differences from one species to the other species. Okay, so that is one of the landscape of tumor heterogeneity in terms of classification, right? Now, if we will go to another level of understanding in tumor heterogeneity, that is, if you look at this particular presentation, here I have tried to link the waves of heterogeneity, that is WAW of tumor, in different perspective. And here the perspective is not intertumoral heterogeneity. Instead of that, how the tumor heterogeneity is influenced by the molecules or the cell or at certain macromolecular structure, right? That is why this particular slide, it will help us to understand the waves of heterogeneity of the tumor at different molecular levels. And the first and definitely well-known factor and the level is that is genetic heterogeneity. As we said, each cancer cell of a tumor, within a tumor, you can say, or across the patient, same type of the tumor will have the different genetic compositions, different genetic signature, right? And we may refer it as mutational load. We may refer as DNA sequences, etc. But the genetic heterogeneity is well-known phenomenon in the field of tumor heterogeneity, and that is well accepted, right? Another important aspect in the waves of heterogeneity is epigenetic heterogeneity, where how the chromatins along with the DNA sequence and the histone proteins are going to be programmed and reprogrammed. Modeling or the remodeling of the chromatin structure is also one of the huge contributor of tumor heterogeneity, and that is why the epigenetic heterogeneity is one of the also well accountable hallmark of the tumor. And definitely the epigenetic heterogeneity most of the time is connected with the environmental factors. It can be diet, it can be drug, it can be biological agents like viruses and many more, right? So the heterogeneity first, then epigenetic heterogeneity, then nowadays is also is well appreciated level of heterogeneity, that is metabolic heterogeneity. So the different sets of metabolites, either from the body metabolism, either from dietary sources, either from gut microbiome, either from, you can say, like certain uh, uh, dietary component, or you can say the habitual component in the form of nicotine, tobacco, or gutka, or smoking, etc., right? Alcohol. So that can also create a set of metabolic heterogeneity in a particular tumor, right? Metabolic heterogeneity can also be possible due to the climate, temperature, humidity, radiation, ultraviolet radiation, or nuclear radiation, and many more. So the metabolic heterogeneity can also be one of the very well appreciated molecular form of heterogeneity. Fourth, so this is our third. The fourth heterogeneity can be conceived, and usually it is well known, that is regulatory RNAs, or you can say also microRNAs. That is in the form of, it can be oncomicroRNAs or tumor suppressor microRNAs. So these microRNAs can also represent a sort of molecular heterogeneity in the context of waves of heterogeneity in case of tumor. The another very important heterogeneity, that is microbiome heterogeneity, and that is at the cellular level. Like in a particular tumor, there is always the surrounding niche where the the microbiomes are present, right? So this microbiome may be pro-tumor or anti-tumor. So that is also one of the reflection of the waves of tumor heterogeneity in case of cancer patient. Another dimension is coming up in the form of mycobiome. So these a new form of species are also documented to influence the outcome of survival, outcome of mortality, outcome of therapies, outcome of various other factors. So the microbiome heterogeneity is also one of the new dimensions added to the waves of heterogeneity. Another important is also nowadays is that exosomal heterogeneity. That means, the cancer cells, once they package certain signaling molecules like microRNAs or peptides or cytokines from inside the cancer cell, they secrete outside in the tumor microenvironment for certain signaling or certain the exchange of messages for the proliferation of cancer cell, or you can say the invasiveness and migration, etc. So the exosomal heterogeneity is also one of the new form of waves of tumor heterogeneity that influences the outcome of prognosis, diagnosis, and many more aspects. Another and the last, what I feel, that is exogenous factors like viruses, diet, drugs, like cisplatin drug or doxorubicin drug. So these drugs, once it is given to the cancer patients, however, cancer cells are going to be killed or destroyed by these cytotoxic drugs, but the even though some cells are going to be left inside the human body, that will create an additional level of drug-induced heterogeneity, right? Or therapies-induced heterogeneity. The dietary sources can also create a source of exogenous factor that contribute to the tumor heterogeneity. So, my dear friend, so by taking into all these consideration, either the classifications of tumor heterogeneity, the various factors or the molecules that can contribute to the webs of tumor heterogeneity, that makes sense. And that also makes sense to realize and understand that cancer cells are complex in nature, right? And that is why today I would like to extend the thought and observation to the next level. That is that how if you look at this particular slide here, how the waves of heterogeneity, that is war of tumor, is going to lead today or tomorrow, that is in the form of evolution of the cancer, progression and the evolution of the cancer in such a way that it may be defined as super complex nature of the cancer or the tumor, that is SCNT. Even what we think, and there are already understanding is coming up, that is the waves of heterogeneity will lead to the super evolution of the cancer in a very progressive manner. Then what I also believe that, the waves of heterogeneity will lead to the super co-evolution of cancer cell and also the cancer associated cells in the form of like erythrocytes or fibroblasts, or you can say that is immune cell, etc. Right? And the fourth point is that what I feel that waves of heterogeneity can lead to the super co-evolution of cancer cells, definitely, along with the microbiome, bacterial cells, even along with the mycobiome of tumor niche. So that means the waves of tumor heterogeneity is never-ending phenomena, and it will lead to the evolution. It will lead to the super evolution, super complexities of the nature of the tumor today or tomorrow. And we know that the whole in the recent either targeted cancer therapies or the conventional cancer therapies like chemotherapies or radiation therapies, the outcome or the prognosis is not identical, right? It greatly deviates, or you can say it greatly make a distinctiveness from one cancer patient to the other cancer patient, right? Or even you can say the waves of heterogeneity may lead to the phenomena of super evolution during the relapse of the tumor, right? Or the 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 development of certain highly resistant cancer stem cells within a tumor can also be one of the possibilities. And already the scientists are trying to understand how the waves of heterogeneity can contribute to these various forms of super evolution of cancer cell, non-cancer cell, microbiome, mycobiome, and also the last I would like to quote here, that is uh, as super evolution of cancer stem cells, right? That can be one of the form of complexities in the tumor, and then super evolution of drug resistant cancer cells. Okay, so there are many possibilities, right? So what I have tried to connect the dot between the waves of heterogeneity and the super complexities nature of the tumor is just a tip of finger, right? But there are many more things has to be understood in a better way, and I hope that this will make a one step closer for the better understanding of the tumor and the tumor microenvironment. Thank you very much.